From self-doubt to unshakable confidence. The root of self-doubt, foundation of confidence. There is a silent enemy living inside most people. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It whispers when you want to speak. It whispers when opportunity comes. It whispers when you are about to act. That enemy is self-doubt. Self-doubt is not weakness, it is conditioning. You were not born doubting yourself, you were trained to. And to understand how to destroy self-doubt, we must first understand why it exists. This is where Machiavelli's thinking becomes dangerous and powerful. Because Machiavelli never asked, why do people feel weak? He asked, who benefits from people believing they are weak? The great illusion of inferiority. One of the greatest lies ever sold to humanity is this: confidence is something you either have or you don't. That is false. Confidence is not a personality trait. Confidence is a perception game. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He observed kings, generals, and rulers, and he noticed something disturbing. The most powerful men were not always the most capable, but they were always the most convincing. They mastered perception. You see, self-doubt does not come from reality. It comes from comparison. From childhood, you were measured. Grades, rankings, praise, punishment. Slowly, your mind learns something dangerous. My value depends on how I compare. And the moment value becomes external, confidence dies. Why self-doubt is useful to systems. Here's the brutal truth most people never hear. Self-doubt is useful. A person who doubts themselves, asks for permission, waits for validation, obeys authority, avoids risk, fears judgment. Machiavelli would call this person easy to govern. A confident person, on the other hand, questions orders, acts independently, challenges authority, moves boldly, creates disruption, and systems do not reward disruption. So self-doubt is quietly encouraged, not eliminated. Through schooling, through culture, through social comparison, through fear of failure, through fear of judgment. The truth about confident people. Here is a secret most confident people will never admit. They are not more certain than you. They are simply less honest about their doubts. Machiavelli observed that leaders often acted before certainty arrived. Why? Because certainty is a luxury for the powerless. Powerful people understand this rule. He who waits to feel ready will always arrive too late. Confidence, then, is not the absence of fear. It is movement despite fear. Self-doubt survives in stillness. Confidence grows in motion. The paradox of action. This is where most people get trapped. They say, I'll act when I feel confident. But Machiavelli would reverse it. You'll feel confident after you act. Action creates evidence. Evidence rewires belief. Belief creates confidence. Not the other way around. Self-doubt tells you to wait. Power tells you to move. Why thinking too much makes you weak? Machiavelli warned against excessive reflection. Why? Because overthinking creates imaginary consequences. Most fears never happen. Most judgments never arrive. Most failures are survivable. But the mind exaggerates danger when action is delayed. Self-doubt thrives in imagination. Confidence thrives in experience. The first Machiavelli rule of confidence. Here is the first rule you must internalize. People respect certainty, not correctness. History is filled with leaders who were wrong, yet followed. Why? Because certainty creates safety in others' minds. When you hesitate, people hesitate with you. When you stand firm, people relax. This is not morality, this is psychology. Self-doubt is not your personality. It is not your destiny. It is not your truth. It is a habit, and habits can be broken. Stay with me. This is only the beginning.
The Machiavellian science of perception and presence. There is a truth most people refuse to accept. You are not judged by who you are. You are judged by how you appear. This is not cruelty. This is reality. And no one understood this better than Machiavelli. Machiavelli did not teach goodness. He taught effectiveness. And when it comes to confidence, effectiveness begins with perception. Lie perception outranks reality. Machiavelli observed something disturbing. Men rarely see reality. They see symbols. They see how you speak, how you move, how you pause, how you respond under pressure. They do not see your intentions. They do not see your effort. They do not see your internal struggle. They see signals. Confidence, therefore, is not a feeling. It is a signal system. The illusion of inner confidence. Most people wait for an internal shift before acting confident. This is a mistake. Machiavelli would argue, inner confidence is irrelevant if it is invisible. History did not reward those who felt strong, it rewarded those who looked unshakable. Here is the uncomfortable truth. People treat you based on how you present certainty, not how certain you actually are. The power of composure. One of the most powerful weapons of confidence is stillness. Machiavelli noted that leaders who appeared calm during chaos commanded loyalty, even when they had no answers. Why? Because panic is contagious, but so is composure. When you rush your words, people sense weakness. When you fidget, people sense fear. When you explain too much, people sense insecurity. Silence, when used correctly, becomes dominance. A pause before speaking tells the room, I am not desperate to be accepted. Why explaining yourself makes you look weak? Here's a rule few people understand. The more you justify yourself, the more people assume you are wrong. Machiavelli warned against over-explanation because it hands power away. Confident individuals state, decide, move on. Insecure individuals explain, apologize, seek reassurance. Confidence is economical, self-doubt is verbose. The art of controlled expression. Machiavelli believed emotional restraint was a form of power. Why? Because emotions reveal uncertainty. When you react instantly, you give others control. When you respond slowly, you take control. Confidence is not loud. Confidence is measured. It chooses when to speak. It chooses when to remain silent. It chooses when to walk away. The dangerous power of eye contact. Eye contact is not about aggression. It is about non-avoidance. Avoiding eye contact communicates, I am unsure. I am subordinate. I am seeking approval. Holding eye contact communicates, I am comfortable. I am grounded. I am present. Machiavelli understood that presence alone could intimidate without a word being spoken. Why people follow confident liars over honest doubters. This is uncomfortable, but necessary. History shows people follow the confident wrong man faster than the hesitant right one. Why? Because certainty feels safe. Doubt feels dangerous. Machiavelli did not celebrate this. He used it. Confidence creates psychological shelter. People want shelter. The second Machiavellian rule of confidence. Engrave this in your mind. Appear decisive, even when clarity is incomplete. Decisiveness does not mean recklessness. It means movement. Movement signals leadership. Stillness signals confusion. You can adjust direction later, but you must move first. Confidence is not born inside. It is projected outward. Once projected, it feeds back inward. You do not wait to feel confident. You behave confidently until the mind follows. Stay focused. The transformation is accelerating.
Fear of judgment and psychological immunity. There is a prison stronger than chains, a cage with no bars, a jail with no guards. It is the fear of judgment. Most people are not afraid of failure. They are afraid of being seen failing. And as long as that fear controls you, confidence will always be temporary. Why judgment paralyzes human action? Human beings are social creatures. Long ago, rejection meant death, so your brain treats judgment as danger. But Machiavelli observed something critical. The crowd's opinion is unstable. It shifts with success. It follows strength. People mock you until you win. Then they claim they always believed in you. Judgment is not a moral compass. It is a reaction to outcomes. The illusion of public opinion. Here is the truth most never realize. People are not thinking about you. They are thinking about themselves. Their judgments are projections. Their fears, their regrets, their insecurities. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He knew the masses admired strength, not vulnerability. This is why leaders rarely reveal doubt publicly. Why seeking approval makes you controllable. Approval is a leash. When you need people to like you, they control you. When you need validation, they dictate your behavior. Machiavelli warned rulers. Those who depend on the favor of others cannot command. Confidence requires emotional independence. The power of being misunderstood. One of the most advanced confidence traits is this: comfort with being misunderstood. Machiavelli was often criticized, misquoted, and hated, yet his influence grew. Why? Because clarity of purpose outweighs popularity. You don't need to be liked, you need to be effective.
Why criticism loses power when you expect it. Criticism hurts most when it surprises you. But when you expect it, it becomes background noise. Machiavelli anticipated resistance. He prepared psychologically. Confidence grows when you stop expecting applause. The third Machiavellian rule of confidence. Remember this. If you act boldly, expect resistance. Resistance is proof of movement. No one criticizes what doesn't matter. Detachment as armor. Detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. You can listen without absorbing, observe without reacting, move without explaining. This mental distance creates immunity. The moment you stop needing approval, fear loses its teeth. Judgment cannot harm those who no longer negotiate their worth.
Decisiveness, controlled aggression, and authority. There is one habit that kills confidence faster than fear: hesitation. Hesitation tells the world, I don't trust myself. And once others sense that, authority disappears. This is where the thinking of Machiavelli becomes ruthless and effective. Because Machiavelli believed that power favors those who decide, not those who deliberate endlessly. Why indecision destroys respect. People do not need you to be perfect, they need you to be clear. When you hesitate, people doubt your leadership, opportunities evaporate, momentum dies. Indecision creates vacuum, and vacuum invites dominance from others. Machiavelli observed that rulers who delayed decisions were replaced by those who acted boldly, even if imperfectly. The difference between aggression and controlled aggression. Aggression is emotional, controlled aggression is strategic. Confidence is not recklessness, it is assertive direction. Controlled aggression means you speak with certainty, you move with intention, you set boundaries without apology. You don't explode, you advance. Why softness is often misread as weakness. This is a hard truth. Kindness without strength is interpreted as weakness. Machiavelli understood this clearly. He warned that leaders who relied only on goodwill lost authority. Confidence requires edge, not cruelty, not arrogance, but firmness. The power of clear boundaries. Boundaries communicate self-respect. Every time you tolerate what disrespects you, you teach people how to treat you. Confidence grows when you say, "No, that won't work. I've decided," and then you stop talking. Why excessive flexibility signals uncertainty. Adaptability is strength, but over-flexibility signals lack of identity. Machiavelli believed a leader must be predictable in values, even if flexible in tactics. Confidence comes from consistency. The fourth Machiavellian rule of confidence. Memorize this. Decide quickly. Correct quietly. Never hesitate publicly. You can adjust later, but indecision must never be your public face. The moment you become difficult to manipulate. Manipulation feeds on doubt. Once you decide firmly, manipulators lose leverage. Confidence makes you expensive to control. Confidence is built through decisive action repeated over time. Not motivation, not affirmations, not inspiration. Action, boundary, movement. Consistency, identity, and unshakable presence. Confidence does not arrive suddenly. It is not a breakthrough. It is not an emotional high. It is not a moment. Confidence is a reputation you build with yourself. And once that reputation is established, it becomes unshakable. This is the final lesson Machiavelli would leave behind. Why consistency creates identity. Machiavelli observed that people do not trust words, they trust patterns. One bold action means nothing. Repeated bold action creates identity. When you act decisively again and again, your mind stops questioning you. Self-doubt dies when it sees evidence. The transition from action to identity. At first, confidence is effort. You force yourself to speak clearly. You force yourself to hold posture. You force yourself to decide. Then something shifts.
You are no longer acting confident. You are confident. Identity is nothing more than repeated behavior accepted by the mind. Why pressure reveals, not creates, confidence. Pressure does not create weakness, it reveals it. Machiavelli knew leaders were exposed in crisis. If you crumble under pressure, it means the foundation was never built. Confidence must be trained before pressure arrives. The art of remaining calm in chaos. Calmness is dominance. When others panic, your stillness becomes authority. Silence in chaos is louder than shouting. This is why composed individuals naturally rise. Why most people relapse into self-doubt. Most people fail here. They act confident once, then return to comfort. Confidence requires maintenance. Stop acting and doubt returns. Consistency is the difference between temporary confidence and permanent presence. The final Machiavelli rule of confidence. Engrave this permanently. Never contradict your own authority. If you decide, stand by it. If you speak, own it. If you move, commit. Your mind listens to your behavior. Becoming psychologically unshakable. Unshakable confidence is not arrogance. It is self-trust. You trust yourself to adapt. You trust yourself to recover. You trust yourself to survive mistakes. That trust removes fear. You do not need permission. You do not need validation. You do not need certainty. You need movement. You need decisiveness. You need consistency. Self-doubt is a habit. Confidence is a practice. Practice long enough, and it becomes identity. This is not motivation. This is psychological truth. If this message resonated with you, sit with it, apply it, live it. Because confidence is not found. It is built. Truth 001.